Dang, I'm about to play the whole playlist. All right. This is another Back to the Basics Brief. Welcome to all here. I'm your hostess, Back to the Basics. I wanted to play a little bit of music before we get started. I'm going to be covering an article written by the Washington Post. Let me see. I'm going to have to get some stuff off of here. This always happens. This was really a disturbing story. Shoot, I had to get my energy up before coming on here, because this young man was only 15. So rest in power to him. Let me see. Let me switch on over here. See, this always happens. I swear. Stuff be trolling. They be trolling. All right. Let me get to this article here. I blew it up as big as I could. And we're going to get into this because this was a hot mess. This article done by the Washington Post was written by Ashley Cusick and Kim Bellware. Louisiana boy suspicious death leaves family asking if racial bias slowed police response. And I do believe the town is LaRueville, Louisiana. The disappearance and mysterious death of a 15-year-old Black boy in rural Louisiana has left his family looking for answers and airing frustration at what they call local law enforcement's failure to act in the hours after the boy vanished. The body of Quawan Charles was found November 3rd in a sugarcane field near this tiny village about 25 miles north of his home. Here, let me scroll. Let me start scrolling. The Iberia Parish Sheriff's Office has said it is investigating the suspicious circumstances of Quawan's death, but has released few details since the boy went missing 2 weeks ago. Now, notice what they're saying here, 2 weeks. So, you already know how I feel about that. Hey, what's going on, y'all? I see you now. Y'all know I ain't got no monitor yet. This is going to be another Ghetto Live. Black Taco, what's going on? Welcome over there in Periscope, the real Aaron Collins. I see you, Miss Sam Francis. All right. And The Daily News, welcome. All who are here. I'm going to try to acknowledge everybody and also get through this article. This is so sad. So sad. See, back where I was. Quawan's parents say the sheriff's office told them that their son had drowned and water was found in his lungs. A preliminary autopsy reported by the Iberia Parish coroner listed the cause of death as likely drowning. With muddy water in his airways and hyperinflated lungs. The preliminary report indicated he did not have injuries before his death, and the condition of his face was likely caused by aquatic animals. While he was in the water, it read. Okay, aquatic animals. Okay. All right. We'll get to how deep that water is in a little bit. Quawan's cousin, Selena Charles, on Wednesday called the drowning explanation bogus. His face says different, Charles said. In a photo the family has published online, the teen appears so disfigured that his teeth are visible outside of his mouth. The family has ordered an independent autopsy. So now I'm going to go to this disturbing photo that I had up earlier of him, because you guys need to see this. Yeah. Hopefully you're sitting down, because this is definitely a viewer discretion, because it's ugly. Okay. So the picture on the left, of course, is they're comparing his death to Emmett Till, which occurred, many years ago. And then there is Quawan Charles on the right. I mean, that just, you're telling me that somebody drowned? That looks like blunt force, if you ask me. But I'm not a forensics person. I don't specialize in that. So I'm not a detective, but that don't look like no drowning. Like, what aquatic animal? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? What aquatic animal is going to do that in X amount of water? Because we're going to get to how deep this creek or whatever it was. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. I mean, look at that. That looks terrible. Just awful. Okay, now I need to get that off there. There we go. Back to the article. Just sad. Quawan's parents reported his disappearance from his father's home now in Baldwin, Louisiana on October 30th, according to family attorney Ron Haley. The Baldwin Police Department took a report, Haley said, but gave no indication over the next few days that they were searching for the teen or actively investigating his disappearance. Instead, they suggested Quawan might have gone to a football game and asked if the boy had had a troubled past. You see, this is the bullshit that I'm talking about. How about y'all just investigate? What are you talking about? He might have gone. Well, he might have gone over to the football game. He has a criminal record. Really? I'm telling you. This is a mess. Oh, who else we got up in here? Miss Topaz, what's going on, babe? Let me see. I'm just trying not to miss you guys. I'm trying to stay focused. You guys should know by now if you've ever been to a live of mine. I see multiple squirrels. Yeah, exactly. Did a fish bite his mouth? Exactly. It's exactly what I was saying. Exactly. In fact, let me start putting these comments up on here. Y'all know it's been a while since I've gone live. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Did a fish actually bite his mouth? Yes, how you doing? Greetings. We're going to go back to the article here. Just trying to acknowledge everybody. Yes, it's very unfortunate, terrible. There's Black Taco. Who is that? Well, it is the remains of Quawan Charles and the Daily News. And of course, Miss Francis. All right. Let me see. Looks like we got a new. Hey, Information Man. How you doing? Okay, let me go back to this picture because I'm telling you, this really is some. I'm telling you, this is already making me hot. I'm gonna read these last couple of sentences because, like I said, this is some bullshit, man. Okay, so let me back up like a paragraph. Now, the preliminary report indicated he did not have injuries before his death, and the condition of his face was likely caused by aquatic animals while he was in the water, it read. Really? Of course, his cousin, Selena Charles, on Wednesday called the drowning explanation bogus. His face says different, Charles said. In a photo the family had published online, the teen appears so disfigured that his teeth are visible outside of his mouth. The family has ordered an independent autopsy. And yeah, I would definitely. Oh, did I do that? Yeah. Hold on. Let me put this back up here. I know exactly what I did. Did it come back up? I know I did not stop sharing that screen. Let me make sure. Dang, this always happens when I'm on a roll. Okay, there we go. Make sure we didn't lose that. Shoot. But yeah, so this is why some people have been comparing this to Emmett Till. Because if you look at the side-by-side photos, I mean, this is terrible. This is terrible. So that's Emmett Till on the left, and then Quawan Bobby Charles on the right. I mean, what fish is going to literally do that to your mouth and to your face? I mean, come on now. I mean, that's terrible. Let me keep going through this article because it gets worse. Okay, so Quawan's parents reported his disappearance from his father's home in Baldwin, Louisiana on October 30th, according to family attorney Ron Haley. The Baldwin Police Department took a report, Haley said, but gave no indication over the next few days that they were searching for the teen or actively investigating his disappearance. Instead, they suggested Quawan might have gone to a football game and asked if the boy had a troubled past. So again, they're already trying to create a narrative already instead of doing their job. Baldwin's assistant police chief has not responded to calls from the Washington Post, and the Iberia Parish Sheriff's Office referred questions to a Tuesday's news release stating its investigators have interviewed multiple individuals and collected physical evidence which is being processed. Everything's under investigation. I mean, that's what they always say. It's always under investigation. Okay. Quawan's family said they learned through a third party that a 17-year-old friend and his mother, Gavin and Janet Irvin, had picked up Quawan around 3 p.m. the day he went missing. Now check this. While his father was at a store. You see what I'm saying? This is what these people do. Now you telling me that they couldn't pick him up while the father was at home? Oh, what's good? What's going on? How you doing? Miss Naturally Nolans. I like that. Cosmo Kid, what's going on? Just trying to make sure I don't miss anybody. Okay. But yeah, you see that? So they literally swooped him up while the father was at the store. So that's already shady. That's already shady. Kenneth Jacko, Quawan's father, said neither he nor Quawan's mother knew the Irwins, who are white, and had not given them permission to take Quawan. Jacko, hold on here. I think I moved a little bit too fast. Jacko said Iberia Parish officers accompanied Quawan's family to the Irwins' home on November 3rd. Now, mind you, 4 days after Quawan disappeared, but before his body was found. Gavin confirmed the story, Jacko said, explaining that the boys had wanted to spend time together that day, but that Quawan later left alone. Gavin said Quawan got up and said he was leaving. Gavin asked about where Quawan was going, and after that, he disappeared, Jacko said. Officers searched the Irwins' home but did not find anything suspicious, Jacko said. Later that day, police discovered Quawan's body in a nearby field. The family had not heard from the Irwins since, Haley said. The Post's attempt to reach the Irwins by phone and at their home in Louisville Trailer Park on Wednesday were unsuccessful. A relative of the trailer park's owner said the Irwins recently had been evicted, but he did not say why. So that even in itself is suspicious. A spokeswoman for the sheriff's office said she could not comment on whether investigators were communicating with the Irwins. No suspects have been named in this case. Well, of course not. And it has not been designated a homicide. Well, he's no longer missing and he's dead. So why would not we designate that as a homicide? Something happened. I want the lady who came to get my son without my permission, his dad's permission, to be held accountable, said Quawan's mother, Roxanne Nelson. During a vigil for her son last week, she took them to her house. He was alive and well when he was here, and now he's dead. Relatives described Quawan's nickname Bobby as a quiet boy who loved animals and the outdoors. He was the youngest of Nelson's 8 children, finally on the cusp of outgrowing his baby-faced looks. At 5'7", Quawan had been trying to bulk up his slight 112-pound frame with weightlifting and peanut butter protein snacks. Jacko teased his son about his new habits, warning him, once you start, you'll gain it in the wrong spots. Quawan was starting to mature emotionally too, his father said. He was growing up and talking to me and stuff, father to son stuff, Jacko said. Earlier this year, Quawan saved enough of his weekly allowance to buy a computer. He also had taken in a dog he named My Baby. Quawan's devotion to the dog was so strong that despite having allergies, Jacko allowed it to join the household when Quawan moved in. That's why when Quawan came up missing, I couldn't understand why he left the dog behind, Jacko said. Gavin, the 17-year-old who Quawan's parents believe was among the last to see their son alive, gave Quawan the dog this year, Jacko said. He was unsure how the teens knew each other, but guessed they met at Southside High School in Youngsville. Quawan recently left that school after moving to live with his father and had started at his new school the week he went missing. Okay, now see, here comes the shadiness. Multiple neighbors in the Irwin's mobile home community said they saw the family packing a U-Haul truck this week before moving out Wednesday. Residents Tambora Bonnet and her fiance Kevin Archin said the Irwins had just moved in 2 trailers down from them in recent months. Okay, so there's just red flags all over this right now. There's just red flags all over this. We got some people who like to move a lot. Yeah, that's a good question. Dre Day! Dang, man, I ain't seen you in a minute. What's going on? Yeah, I know. This is really sad. I know, I wish I had better news. Yeah, if he drowned, how did he get to the field? Exactly. Well, that's what I was getting ready to say, because we're going to get to how deep this thing actually is. Right. If you can't, exactly. You know how we are. If we cannot swim, I ain't going to no water. I ain't going. Now I'll go in the water. I mean, shoot. I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad. Let me get back to this article. But yeah, this is already suspicious. You already have this person and their mom pick him up without, again, the father was at the store. So you know what that tells me? Somebody was probably watching him as he left. I mean, that to me, that just opens up a lot of doors for me. Because you're gonna wait till he go to the store and then just pick him up. That, I don't know. That's shady. And then packing up a U-Haul to get up out of there. But anyway, let me get back to the article. Hold on here. Bonnet, who is black, said she is not surprised by what she called a weak investigation by the Iberia Parish Sheriff's Office. If it was a white kid, they would have looked for him right then and there, she said. Archin, who also is black, said he didn't know Quawan's family, but helped him look through the sugarcane field where Quawan's body had been discovered. He finds it implausible that Quawan could have drowned in the ankle-high water they found there. Do you see what I'm saying? Ankle-high water, ankle-deep water. Yeah, it hasn't came, there's going to be stuff still coming out about this, but come on, ankle high water. And then just like the real Aaron Collins is saying, Louisiana, nah, I'm good. No. Okay, let me get back to the article. Yeah, ankle high water. I mean, come on. Can you imagine somebody drowning in ankle high water? Archin said he knows some sheriff officers whom he would describe as cool people, but he thinks race has been a factor in the police response to Quawan's disappearance. If it was a white person, if it was one of their kids, people would have probably been in jail by now, Archin said. Relatives of Quawan have criticized authorities for not alerting local news or sending out an Amber Alert for Quawan when they reported him missing. And everybody knows, once they initiate that Amber Alert, like it goes all over the place. And you'll get that, what is it, that special like notification or sound when there is an Amber Alert. So for them not even to do that, I mean, I don't want to hear this stuff about some post-racial society, because even when a person tries to, think about, well, what if we ever could get past race, then we have stuff like this happening. So then people out there, well, if you guys just need to get over it, what's his name? What was his name? Who said that? What was his name? I mean, what was his name? Akon or Akun or whatever. You might as well just call him Akun. But anyway, we're not just gonna get over slavery and different things like that when we have stuff that even appears. It don't even look right. I mean, everybody under the sun will say, well, it is really not racial. Well, what else is it? Okay, where was I at? Okay, they said the Baldwin police told them his disappearance was entered into an Amber Alert database, but that the state police must activate it. So there you go. The state police didn't activate the information they had put in the database. Louisiana State Police spokesman Lieutenant Nick Manel said the agency was not contacted in reference to the missing individual and is not currently part of the ongoing investigation. Do you see how crooked this is? So you have a little town with their police department supposedly doing all this investigation, which I don't believe. That's just my personal opinion. And then even the Louisiana State Police was like, look, we weren't even notified that he was missing. And we're not even part of the ongoing investigation that they're doing. So that already there, right over there, it's just too much. It's too many things where, okay, you don't, there's just too many surrounding circumstances. Just a lot of shadiness. Oh, I've been doing good, I'm just hanging in there. My energy was low. I had to get my energy up. My frequency was low. And then I got mad. you know, that's how it is sometimes. Yeah, it'll be on the news, but they'll only release, you know what they're gonna say. Well, everything's under investigation. Okay. Right. It's right in our face. Like, they'll say, "Well, get over it." No, well, you keep putting something in, and if you keep putting something in somebody's face and smearing it in their face, they're not gonna get over it. They're not. Right. You get over when y'all stop doing stuff. Natural. What's going on, babe? Yeah, you can go ahead and drop your website if you can. All right, everybody's still saying hey to everybody. Okay, great. So now we're gonna get back in. This article isn't that long. I didn't plan on being too long. Let me get back over here to this article. But you see that the state of Louisiana didn't even get notified, and they're not even conducting an investigation. So this whole thing is a mess. Okay, here we go. Once this became public, almost every local news station said we had no idea a child was even missing, Haley said. And that's the local news. The local news stations weren't even tracking this. He added that authorities hadn't tried pinging Quawan's cell phone until 3 days after he disappeared. So you mean to tell me y'all? Okay, I'm not gonna say that word. Y'all waited. Y'all waited 72 hours to start pinging his phone. Wow. That's how they knew where to narrow the search for him. Local activists have joined Quawan's family in questioning whether racial bias influenced the initial response to Quawan's disappearance, noting what Haley described as a fractured relationship between the sheriff's office and local residents due to past allegations of racism and abuse. Systemic racism and bias is not just pulling someone over on the highway or the police shooting them while unarmed. Haley said, it goes deeper. It's a lack of empathy. Yeah, they don't care. They don't care. I mean, some people that's all you have to do is just they put in a certain amount of hours of training, and you give them a badge and a gun, and they think that this is like the wild wild west or something. No, it's not. You're supposed to be serving and protecting the citizens, not terrorizing citizens. But anyway, the dearth of information around Quawan's death also has gnawed at some Laurelville residents and area activists who have joined the family in calling for more answers. Police and people in this state that have perversely racially biased tendencies, when they see our children, they don't see their children, said Jamal Taylor, who leads the local advocacy group Stand Black. Selena Charles, the cousin who is serving as a family spokeswoman, said she watched last week as Nelson ran from a viewing room screaming in anguish at the sight of her son's mutilated face. Is it Emmett Till bad? She said. She asked Nelson, referring to the 14-year-old black boy who was lynched in Mississippi in 1955. After seeing Quawan's body herself, Selena Charles urged Nelson to do the same thing Till's mother had done 65, are you hearing me? 65 years ago. Sharing a photo of Till's mangled body with news media in an act that helped spark the civil rights movement. Nelson pulled out her phone, snapped a photo of her son, and then shared it with the world. And that is the end of the article. That is the end of that. It really is a shame. Um, I'm trying to see if I can find the link to the article because I actually had it and I should have just put it in the chat. But I do have the link to it. And this is a shame. Hold on here. Yeah, but yeah, children are supposed to be sacred and innocent, but you looking at this, they don't care about anybody. They don't care about anybody's age. That's why it's so important that we just have to just be situationally aware. I mean, I don't know about some people, but whenever I grew up, I mean, I was fortunate. I mean, I grew up in a community. Um, whenever I was a kid, shoot, everybody was out on their porch. You wouldn't have no kids being outside and people were just shut up in the house. No, everybody was outside on the porch. Everybody saw everything what was going on, and you know, if anybody lied, oh well, I seen you hit him, and then oh, I seen you pull her hair or whatever else. Everybody was outside. There was no, oh well, everybody just not involved, not engaged. But that's just me. I'm not trying to blame anybody. It's just the unfortunate, very unfortunate. I just grew up. That's just what I grew up around. You no, there were no kids had supervision, and we're talking like the mid to what is it, the late to like 90s, because I grew up in the 90s, and people were still involved. I don't know what happened. Go, professor! What's going on? Yeah, well, I'm at the end of the presentation. I'm just doing some commentary. I'm about to get off of here. But one of the things, since this is such a problem, one of the things I suggested, because I remember whenever I was young, there was a neighborhood watch whenever I was young. There was people who literally would patrol the neighborhood. Did anybody have like a neighborhood watch whenever they were young? Anybody? Oh yeah, yeah. You better not say anybody lied. Yeah, grown up lied. Yeah, that was it. That was grounds for a whooping. Yeah, that was grounds for a whooping. Yeah, yeah. You. Yeah, it was bad. Okay. I mean, I had invited some people up here, but I mean, this one wasn't going to be too long. If anybody wanted to come up here and talk, because I had put out a link earlier to certain people, but I wanted it to be short. Shoot, this is the weekend. Let me see. Let me stop sharing this. I put the link in the chat. I mean, this is just sad that this even had to happen. It really is. Yeah, it's just a shame. Well, that's good. I mean, it's sometimes, things just come together. It don't have to be so organized. The main thing is to have that there in place. I mean, we can get organized and clean it up later on. I mean, you know, that's good. Oh, good. You had a neighborhood watch too? That's good. Yeah, I'd get chastised and then I'd get that second one on there. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm my mom whooped my tail. I don't care. So I look at some of these people, and in my generation, because I'm a millennial, I just look at them. I'm like, y'all done lost your damn mind. What is wrong with y'all? But that's just me. I grew up around baby boomers. That's why I just look at them like they done lost their mind. Like, hey, you chose to go that way. Hey, that's what you do. And I think what some of it is because when my mom was a very feminine, and she still is very feminine, humble person. So she didn't mind, someone, taking her off to the side and, really, guiding her as far as, yeah, you might not want to do that, but you know how that is. Hello. How are you doing?
Well, how you doing? Back to the basics.
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm fine. I wanted to say a few words to you about this case. I did a video on my second channel about this. I had someone that I interviewed that I know that has been following the case. You said some of the points that I was making as well, but you added a little bit more extra detail, which I thought was very important in reading the article as you did. You made a point just earlier that you grew up in a community where there was a neighborhood watch. Well, I'm a kid of the late 70s, early 80s, and all the way into the 90s and where we are now. In the neighborhood that I grew up in maybe the last bastions of a neighborhood in which you had you were raised by the neighborhood, your mother, your father, the old men playing cards in the garage. Everybody raised you. Anything that you did in the community, whether it be stealing from the corner store, they knew who your parents were. I grew up at a time, and I said it in my video, I grew up in a time that whatever friends you had in your scope, your parents knew where those kids lived. In some cases, they knew the parents or they knew of them, and they had some sense of what does the household look like. We live in a day and time where a lot of parents, when you have kids and they're hanging out with a certain group of kids, you should know where those kids live at exactly, that your child's hanging out with, and who are their parents and what kind of lifestyle or what do you get from them? What kind of aura do you get from them? Because people give off negative and positive energies. And I grew up at a time when there was no need for it to be called a organized neighborhood watch, because it just was. It was as natural as me drinking a water or getting up in the morning. It was just the way the community functioned, because it was the cultural values of the community that it takes a village to raise a child, and that you looked out after one another in a sense. Now, when I was talking to my guest on my channel about this, she said that there was some white woman who took this young man off without any permission from his parents. That's a problem right there.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I read in the article, because I mean, just from the way it was reading, it was like it was almost as if like were they watching and waiting for his father to just leave the residence? I mean, that just didn't sit with me well, as far as him being just taken like that without anybody knowing.
Right. The family's calling for him. The most added importance to this situation is that the police out there did not do a proper Amber Alert for this young man. They were laggy. They didn't show any emphasis of importance for this young man's life. Look, this is how it is. Back to the basics. You know that when black people go missing, young ladies, young men, that there's no value in America for our lives. If it's a blonde-eyed child, boy, girl, there's value put on their life when they go missing. Okay. And I was just like I've said before on my program, when I did this video, when you look at black people, what are our modes of operation? How do we act? We have a pattern and a rhythm to how we carry ourselves through life. Black people just don't go missing like that. We don't have a history or a pattern of just saying, okay, I'm going to leave out the door today and I'm just going to disappear from my family. A lot of us are family oriented. Usually when you hear about Black people being missing, there's some foul play. When you hear about white folks being missing sometimes, it could be that, oh, I went into the snow. I went out to the woods, and I was climbing up some mountains and I fell into a cave and I got stuck there. And you see it all the time on news. They got to bring emergency services to get these white folks out of these areas in the mountains and hills because they didn't went off hiking and didn't tell nobody. Black folks, we don't do shit like that. Anything that we do, we have a pattern. We have a pattern at what time we come home, when we go to work, when we leave. We don't do disappearing acts.
See, now this brings me to a story. I remember the one time I was somewhere and my mom didn't know where I was. Oh my gosh, I got like the worst whooping of my life. Oh my god. I was like 13. I'm like, no. I said, that'll be the last one. The last one. Because I had went out for track practice and she hadn't known about it. But yeah, we don't just walk away. We don't just get up and be like, oh well, today I'm just gonna go explore and then not come back. that's just.
Hey, when I grew up, this show you how put an age on myself. When I grew up, there was a time when I grew up that and I turned 51 years old just this past Friday, everybody. So I turned to big 5'1". I've been to big 5'0" for a minute, but 5'1" now. When I grew up, if you were gone for a certain extended amount of time and your parents weren't aware that you were going to be gone for that extended amount of time, what happened to you when you came home? You got your butt whipped. Your father was like, boy, who told you to come in the house at this time? And where have you been? Well, I was over at such. No, you wasn't. We called over there. See what I'm saying? And we grew up like most Black people who got a little bit of age and experience on them. We grew up in those kind of environments where your time and where you were at was to be held accountable. You were to be accountable to your community and your family when you came walking in the house at times that you had no business coming in the house. I mean, I grew up under the times when they said when the damn light turns on and the outside the street lights turn on, you're best to be in the house. And if I wasn't in the house by the time my father or mother got home, the neighbors could whip your butt. They could take matters in their own hands, and then you get another butt whipping when your parents get home. That's how I grew up. We're a long ways from that, though.
Yeah, I agree. I feel bad. Like I said, hopefully I didn't come off as trying to blame anybody, but it's just, there's just I would say there's still a lot of unknown factors in this case. Now, I also noticed that people saw them packing up that U-Haul. I'm like, are you serious? Like, y'all just going to let them just like literally pack up? And even though, like they are like considered like too close to the case, like they are like suspected suspects, like they're possible suspects. So why would you let them just pack up and leave?
Yeah, I think I remember hearing the young lady that I interviewed about this. She said that there might have been some evidence of bleach being used or something, some kind of bleach. And we know that when people commit heinous acts that involve blood, they'll use bleach to try to destroy the evidence of the blood tracing and all that sort of stuff. Something went wrong. Now, on that photo that you had a real colored photo. I had a black and white photo. It's obvious to me, as well as everyone listening and you, that this young man was beaten badly, because even if he was in the water, look, everybody do the logic here. How long does it take for a body to decompose? If he was missing on October the 3rd and all of a sudden they claim they found him on November the 3rd in a sugarcane field, how long does it take for the body to decompose to the point that the face would be like that? And what fish, unless there were piranhas out there, what fish would be be able to bite him into his face like that? What fish who don't have teeth? Okay. That looks like this young man was badly beaten. I mean, horribly. Look at the mark in the forehead side as well. He was beaten. And in my he was jumped, beaten. Who knows what the kid that he was hanging out with, who his friends were. That's the problem here. Who was the young man that he hung out with, that he went with? This white woman, who is she? What is her dealings? Who does she run around with? The young man that he was friends with or hanging out with, what is it about? What should we know about that young man? What was he into and the friends that he hung out with? It's terrible. That's Emmett Till. That's horrible. That was Ebony Magazine was the only publication that would print that. And the mother said that she wanted an open casket so that the world could see what they did to her son. That's Emmett Till.
You know, it's a shame. I noticed, like, I remember a program that you did way back. Actually, it was New Year's Eve, and it was you, and you were speaking with brother Huey P. And when you guys were talking about time being circular, it really is a shame that this really just came back full circle.
Right. There's an old saying, the more things, it doesn't matter if we have a different year, the more things seem to change, it still remains the same. So even though we're going through the change of a different year from 1955 up to 2020 and going into 2021, it does not matter the year because things still remain the same. Right now, you said something that was very much on point. And that is the fact that once again, when this happens, the police will continue to say to us, don't jump to conclusions. It's under investigation. It's under investigation. And it's under investigation, but we need to know now who was involved in this situation. Who is the woman? What is her dealings? We need to know information. The family down there needs to know. But you do know, back to the basics, sister, that Louisiana is, as we all know, or should know, is a very racially polarizing environment, state. And if you notice, we're noticing more and more today that America is racially polarized. Look at the what's happening politically. You got people out there fighting in the streets, white folks fighting. I suggest nobody black get yourself involved in any of this activity that's going on around these Trump voters and even these other folks out here. We need to stand together. And black men do matter. We need to stand together, and we got to watch our backs. I said this, back to the basics. I said this a long time ago on some of my other videos that, these white supremacist groups have been taking L's, and every time they take an L, something happens to one of us. So this election situation going the way it's gone, all the things that are happening, black people need to be on high alert with their kids. Remember, we had Robert Fuller out there in LA, in the LA area, or out there in Orange County. They still haven't given us satisfactory answers to what happened to that brother, yet he was in an area that was known heavily for white supremacist groups that would go after young black men like him. And you had all these mysterious hangings of black men every time the white supremacists take an L. Every time they take an L, be on the lookout for them trying to have a retaliation against one of us. When you look at the election, and they were talking about the election was being stolen away from Trump, guess what they were doing? They kept showing black people in these voting facilities counting the votes, focusing on black people that were counting the votes, making us the scapegoat for this election. And then you see things like this, what happened to this young man. It always translates back to the community because these white supremacists are all throughout our society, permeating in it. I'll stop there.
Yeah, I mean, I listen, like I said, I already know what some people are gonna probably do. I mean, people who, like I said, I know I had mentioned Akun, what should I say, Akon, and what he said, talking about we're not going to get over slavery when we have situations like this that just keeps right on coming up. Like this year has been it's just been terrible. I mean, there has been so many shootings, and till it's just not it's just a mess. And I know that this has been going on for like centuries, but I don't like it. Just seems like ever since COVID-19, it just seems like, wow, like is it what open season or something? I mean, this is just getting ridiculous.
Yeah, it is getting ridiculous. I was with a friend of mine, and we had predicted that in our own world perspective that 2020, I had a feeling that 2020 was going to be a year that was going to rock society all across the board. And it has lived up to that billing. I don't think there's been a pleasant moment within this year so far that we can look to and say, oh, this has been a very good year here. This year has been really good over here. I think we're going to continue to see the polarization of this society, this world. And I'm just saying again, this is a time that black people need to use these sort of incidents to realize that we only have each other. This whole rainbow bright type stuff ain't working. It will not work. And I'm interested. You know what's interesting too here? Back to the basics. Let me ask you this. How many other racial groups in this rainbow bright that the Black Lives Matter paints to us, how many of these other groups are even speaking out about this? Where is Black Lives Matter? I'm hearing that the ACL is getting involved in this case. I'm hearing that other local groups in Louisiana, but where are all these other individuals who's supposed to be our friends and allies?
You know, I'm just about done with the NAACP. I'm done with the Black Caucus. I'm just done with everybody. As far as these organizations that say that they're for us, because I mean, let me start with the NAACP. It's like, okay, what have y'all done the past? Okay, I'm not even gonna give you 10 years. What have you done since Trayvon Martin? I mean,
you know what black people are functioning under? We're functioning under a Model T. What's the Model T? The first car that was created. We're using Model T solutions to deal with 21st century problems. We gotta. So for example, when people say, well, marching doesn't really matter. Yeah, marching is even antiquated because we're predictable. I think black society is predictable because the white society knows when something goes bad, they know what we're going to do. They know that Negroes are going to get out in the street and march, right? And Negroes are going to say, we want no justice, no peace. Then they bring in the police to, brutalize us. Then when black people say we're not going to take it anymore, they find a handkerchief wearing preacher, some pig's feet Negro preacher or politician who will come out and try to tell black people, now calm down, everybody. It's going to be okay. We're going to get justice. Believe in the system. So you get those people, the Al Sharptons, I'm going to kill it, the Benjamin Can't Talk Crump, who will tell us we're going to get justice, even though he seems to be the only one lining his pockets with money that he gets out of the settlements, but there's no justice really for the families. So all this stuff is happening. And I'm saying to you and everybody listening that some of the methodology that we've been using as black people that comes way back from the civil rights movement and far back to a certain degree is not working. Because we have technology now. We have things like YouTube. We have these phones in our hands. I can send a message out to people all over the world and all over the place through social media quicker than I could trying to round people up in my area to go out and march. You can put more social pressure through these mediums that we're using to get the message out to everybody so that everybody can put pressure. But we need to start engaging in more technological ways to fight the battle. and not using old antique Model T approaches that do not meet the needs of a 21st century problem. So that's why I don't think that black politicians or politics is really going to solve black people's problems overall, because politics in America was never designed to benefit the black man and black woman. The political system in America was designed by design to benefit the white male and his assistant. Who is his assistant? The white woman, who usually is a school teacher, who inflicts the first strike against black young men by saying that black young men in school are hyperactive and that we're animals. And then they throw us in bad academic classes. The white women are on that front lines of pushing the white supremacy. And nobody talks about that. Everyone asks black men, you've heard this saying Back to the Basics on YouTube, what are black men doing to fight against white supremacy? What are black women doing to fight against white supremacy too? Because that first strike of white supremacy comes from the white teacher who labels the black male child and put them in the special ed classes. I'll stop there. I've said enough.
No, what you said is true. I mean, and unfortunately, just looking at the events, I mean, I hate to have to say this, but some black women are just allowing themselves to be used as a tool for white supremacy. I mean, it really is a shame. I've noticed it. All I've had to do is just sit back and just watch, and I'm just like, why are we going there? Like, you already know, when it comes to imagery of how black men are portrayed in the media, you already know how negative it is. And then for like, when I see some of these black women get on here and drag black men, I'm just like, I just need to get the hell away from you. I don't need to be near you.
Yeah, I have personally no need or desire to drag any black female on these mediums. Do we all do things that can be a little shady towards each other? And yes, true. We do. And it's a damn shame. And we had to figure out a way we can stop that. It does happen. We have the doxing and all these things that go on. And we use these social media as our personal toilet bowl to trash people. It happens. But overall, these mediums can be turned to help each other to understand the world that we're in. You know, let me say peace to Underrated Darkness. He's in the house. He has a great channel. We got Natural out there. She has a great channel. She's out of Chi-Town. We got my man, Iyapo. Iyapo's been following me from the very beginning, Back to the Basics. That brother been following me from the very beginning of me coming on YouTube when I had crickets in the chat room. We got Zero, the Affinity. Peace to you, brother. And Cosmet, you got some great folks in the chat room here. And I think you've done a great job in presenting this situation with this young man. And I'm going back to the white woman again, because it was a white woman who some kind of way, from what I heard in reports, that took him somewhere. Okay. And the question is, what was that all about? Where was that place? And when will the family, or when will we know as a public who this woman exactly is, what she looks like, where was the intentions of where he was supposed to go? We need information.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because there were a couple things that disturbed me in the article, and I might as well just go back to it because even the state police said that they hadn't been notified and that they weren't even a part of the investigation. And I'm just like, what? I don't know I don't know what's going on.
Well, one thing to understand, very important here, is that the Louisiana police, this police departments in that state, they have been corrupt for a long time. Now, some would make the excuse is because, well, they don't make a lot of money compared to other police departments in the country because Louisiana is a very poor state. Okay. But that region of the country has police departments that are they are not in the best interest of black people. and let me make this last statement here before I get all back to the basics. I had someone when I did my video on this leave me a message, and I got rid of it, saying that, well, this is why you can't defund the police, because see, the police didn't respond good enough in this case. Defunding the police has more to do with taking money that could create programs like education programs, bring back midnight basketball programs, bring back job training programs. It could be money that could be used to create programs to prevent young people from going into situations that can lead them to having to be arrested by cops or having to deal with the criminal justice. But we know with black people, it doesn't matter whether you have a prep school education, whether you have a high school education, a master's degree, a PhD, or a high school degree, or you're a damn dropout. It doesn't matter, because anytime you're black within this prison, as Neely Fuller Jr. talks about, you are subject to be messed with. So even if they were to defund the police, because some would say, hey, you can't say defund the police, you're going to get bad time. Black people have always gotten bad justice with the injustice system. So it wouldn't matter if you defunded the police, to be quite honest, or not, when I think about it now, because it still wouldn't stop them from giving us nothing but injustice.
Okay, so her name in the article is Janet Irwin,
Okay.
and her son's name is Gavin Irwin. As far as, let me go to that paragraph that I was trying to go to, because that was a shame. I mean, the Amber Alert, they didn't do that.
See, let me tell you something here. You always know how it works. Whenever white people are involved in foul play or doing something crazy, you know it's a white person, because they don't hurry to show their photos. If a black person commits heinous crimes, they'll be quick to show our photos and identify us quickly. So the question is, where are the photos on this woman? Maybe you can't show the child because the child's a minor, but where are the photos on her so that we can see what this woman looks like? Have you been able to identify that?
Oh, no, I might have to go through my browser and actually see if I can get a picture, because that was one of the things I didn't do. I was so busy into like trying to see what other information was out there on the case. Let me see if I can do a search real quick.
Yeah, because, everybody in the chat knows this. Whenever black people do something, they got a picture on you. Look at what they did to Trayvon Martin. They talked about, he's a weed smoker, he's a this and that. They dirty black people up. Even the brother Kenneth, who was trying to protect Breonna Taylor, they tried to dirty him up too. But when white people commit heinous acts in this society, in some cases they try to keep it real quiet. So peace to all in the chat room. Real Aaron Collins. I think RY came in and said, what's up to me? We got Zero the Affinity. Dre Day is in the house. Iyapo. Underrated Darkness. Cosmo Kid is in the house. Cosmo Kid, peace to you. And everybody in there. And we got DJ Vibrance. Peace to you if I said that correct. So back to the basics. Are you still there? Because I'm gonna get ready to get off your panel so that you can finish. Are you still there?
I'm still here. I had just went. I was just browsing around. But thank you though for coming up and saying your piece.
But before I get off though, see let's break this down surgically. were you able to find photos on this woman?
Of course not.
Thank you. You just made my point. The fact that we have a young man who was brutalized and a woman who was not his parent, a white woman, took him somewhere, and now he ends up in a body bag, face all busted up, teeth all everything's all out there. And we don't even have, she should be the #1 suspect right now because she was the last person that you can make the argument that the family or whoever let him, she was the last person to have contact with him along with her son. So why don't we have a photo of this woman? That's my whole point. See, when stuff goes down like this, they want to keep it real low, quiet. And then you won't, I'm gonna bet you any kind of money right now. We won't hear real big noise about this case until Reb Al Sharpton gets involved and Big Mouth Crump gets involved, and then it gets on CNN where they bring the media attention to it so that everybody can get their slice of the apple pie. Crump can get them 10% in court for the settlement or whatever they're gonna do. Until you get those usual suspects involved in these cases, it goes little to no, it doesn't get heard. It has to be sensationalized for anybody to give a damn. They got to sensationalize it. So I'm waiting to see how long is it going to take before Crump gets his paws on the family, and before the Al Sharptons of the world, you start seeing them flying down to Louisiana and start giving their press conferences and shit like that. But the family, at the end of the day, deserves justice for whatever happened to their child. 15 years old, a damn shame. Back to the basics. I'm going to get ready to get off, sister. Thank you for letting me speak my mind about this on your platform. Thank you. You keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, you're welcome, and you're always welcome here. Thank you for coming up.
All right, peace. And I would suggest anybody else in the chat room come on up and speak. Speak. Thank you.
All right. Y'all heard information, man. Hey, we still got a little bit of time. We're just a little over an hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me copy this link. And put it in here. Okay, the link is now in the chat. I mean, we've gone through the article. I'm going to be here for a little while, and then we're going to cut it. Oh, somebody said Roland Martin. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can't forget about Roland Martin. Yeah. Yeah, we can't forget about him. Hey, Miss RY, nice seeing you. Nice seeing you. Up, looks like we are being joined by the real Aaron Collins. All right. Let me get you in here. How you doing?
Hey, back to the basics, my beautiful black queen. How you doing, my sister?
I'm doing pretty good. I just had to do this because it was really disturbing. Of course, I had watched it on the Information Man show. I had watched the his podcast about that, and I said that is really a damn shame. Like how?
Yeah.
I mean that is shady. Like how are you going to take somebody's kid and the father was at the store? So to me, it really looked like that was calculated to me.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is that this stuff is happening, and they keep allowing it to happen. I'm like, this kid was literally kidnapped. Really, if you look at it, if he was with his father, and some woman that he didn't know just picks him up, and takes him nowhere, then 3 days later, it's more than foul play. It sounds like you said, calculated murder. And I'm sick and tired of this sweep it under the rug type of activity. But see, 2020, I said, is basically the year of exposure. A whole lot of stuff is being exposed. And all that we shall overcome and go tell it on the mountain, whatever that is. And no, I think black people, we need to start getting into some self-defense tactics, some martial arts, learning how to use weapons. I'm serious. All that. And I don't really care how it sounds to people. And people can think what they want to think about me saying this. Hell, I mean, I want all the smoke if they got something to say to me. Because I'm getting sick and tired of people saying to get over it. I'll get over the shit when it stops happening. How about that? Yeah, but this is a 15-year-old. And yeah, I saw shades of Emmett Till all over again. It's like I looked at the side-by-side pictures and I'm like, man, where have I seen this before? And it's like you said, things come back full circle. And this is what's happening. I mean, you would think that during a worldwide pandemic, that stuff like this wouldn't even continue to go on. But I see I was wrong for that, because you know what? These entities are still going to be the same. It's in their nature. That's how devils are. They do devilish stuff.
Yeah, it is. As soon as I seen the side by, because again, I do a lot of research. So as soon as I seen this side by side photo, I said, this is why they were comparing it so closely to Emmett Till. I said, now, I said, this is really bad. But yet, after this selection, you had the, people out in the street dancing like something done really happened, like something has really changed. I'm like, nothing has changed.
Yeah, the way I look at it, if you think that being under Trump was bad, okay, just wait and see what happens under Biden and Harris. You see, but don't take it from me though. Y'all find out on your own. You know. And the thing about, is that all these people, like, I don't know if you saw I put this in the chat, but you got people like Fox Soul, when they were jumping all over Ice Cube because of his contract with Black America. Okay, well, how come they don't attack these types of issues right here? Like the very one we talking about. Black people are still being lynched in 2020, still being lynched. Still being found in rivers 3 days later. But no one talks about that.
Yeah, I agree. It's just everything surrounding this case is just, yeah. Like I said, I'm pretty sure there's going to be more to come out, but it just seems like from the onset, just a whole bunch of stuff, just not right. They didn't do an Amber Alert, and then, the local news even in that article said that they didn't know about it. The Louisiana State Police was like, we didn't even know he was missing. So,
see,
yeah.
And Louisiana is a very backwoods racist state. Like their largest prison, Angola, it's like the San Quentin of the South. They still have like the chain gang. So they still hooking brothers up on chains.
Well, like what has been stated, we'll see how long this investigation that they're doing is going to take.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I know a thing or two about Louisiana. I used to go there a lot as a kid, and I've been there a few times in my older years. One of the times I went there. I went to New Orleans and helped rescue people after Katrina, and also went down there for the Gina 6 situation too. So I know how Louisiana get down. I know how their policies are. particularly when it comes to law enforcement. So they're still pretty much stuck in their Jim Crow state of mind.
Yeah, but that's like I said, that's the end of the article. We'll see what else comes out because I mean, this article, the Washington Post did a pretty good job on it because again, some more details came out, but they're still being pretty tight-lipped about releasing any information. So we'll see.
You know what? I'm a strong believer in the Lord, and you know what was done in the dark will be exposed. So they may think they have gotten away with something and swept it under the rug, but believe me, it will come out.
Yeah.
And they will stand and be held accountable for what they did. And we should not sweep this under the rug. Matter of fact, I'm still shouting justice for Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and all that. I don't care what people think about it. I'm gonna still keep shouting it. And now for Quawan Charles, that's his name. Yeah, for him too. So did they say he was lynched like with a rope?
No, he was face down in like a creek, but it was only like ankle deep. So he was found face down. It really was a sugarcane field, but the water was like ankle deep. So it's like, okay. So they said that,
yeah,
they were saying that it was like a possible drowning was the original ruling on the autopsy, but yeah, I don't.
So it was one of those Louisiana swamps. So it's possible. So that means if it's a swamp, there had to been alligators out there too. You know, and frogs and stuff.
Well, I don't want to speculate too much. It just said a sugarcane field, and then again, it said that the water was ankle high. So I don't know what was out there. So, but yeah, this is a sad situation. It just shows you how the more things change, the more they stay the same. It is what it is. And me personally, I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say, well, about race or whatever. And it's like, well, I mean, if I was in any other group, as far as the Asian community or the Hispanic community or the, whatever type of community, don't you think I would try to advocate just as hard for my own ethnicity? I mean, it really, and that's just how I feel personally. So,
you know what, though, Shalonda? See, this is the thing that pisses me off. All these groups, right? They expect for Black people to come rally for them and stand up for their issues, which unfortunately we do a little bit too much. But when it comes to stand up for our own, where are they to be found? And I'm sick and tired of these guilt trip tactics that they try to pull. The hell with that. We need to stand up and go just as hard for our own, if anything. Matter of fact, we need to go even more hard. And once again, I may draw some controversy for this, but like I said, I want all the smoke. It's whatever.
All right, so we're gonna start wrapping it up here. Do you have any concluding statements you'd like to make? I do thank you for coming up here.
Oh yeah, Shalonda. I think this is the first time I've actually been on your panel. I'm so glad that you invited me up here, and I looked at I just love chopping it up with you. We need to it needs to be more than just talk. We really need to be more about action and be more proactive, because we're some of the most reactive people on the planet.
Yeah, I agree. But like I said, we did talk a little bit about the neighborhood watch and about different things like that. But I mean, that's, yeah, just like you said, people are gonna have to start. Guys, got to start exercising your Second Amendment rights, because quite frankly, everybody else is. So just
Exactly.
go to the range. Don't be afraid to shoot a weapon, because I was too at one point. But then, hey, you
I used
learn
to.
what there is to learn. So there's nothing to be afraid of. All you have to do is just maintain control of your weapon and don't point it at anybody. So
Exactly. I used to live in Texas for 15 years, so I've shot weapons and I've owned weapons, and yeah, this weapon. One thing I learned. One thing. This is the golden rule you should learn about gun ownership. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Okay.
yeah, that's true. All right, you guys. You guys have been lovely. I think that yeah, we're coming up on 90 minutes. This was a little long-winded. Y'all know how I am. I see multiple squirrels, and you guys know how I do. I love you as a sister. I pray that everybody is doing well out there, and just please remember to maintain some situational awareness out there.
Yep.
And if you haven't don't know how to shoot a weapon, link up with somebody that you trust and go shoot a weapon. All I'm going to say is, the longer the barrel, the more accurate it's going to be. And also remember that a gun is just a tool that you can have in your toolkit. Because me, shoot, if I bring my toolkit out, I want to have multiple weapons. You're not gonna know it. You're not gonna know what type of weapon I might pull up out of there. But I love you as a sister. The message at the bottom, I had to still read it because of the profession that I'm in. So none of my statements are endorsed by the United States Army, Department of Defense, and or any other military branch or government entity. Military is apolitical. It's going to stay apolitical. So none of my statements are endorsed by the U.S. Army, Department of Defense, and or military branch, element, or government entity. All right, y'all. Peace.
Shalon, I want to give I want to say something to you real quick. I want to really give a shout out to you because like you just said, you serving in the military and yet standing up for issues like this at the same time. To me, that speaks volumes. That says a lot, because I mean something like that, according to them, not supposed to be happening. But you taking a stand and you doing it, and my hat is off to you.
Oh, well, thank you. Like I said, I try to stay within the YouTube guidelines. I mean, I recently did a video on FM 6-2003, which is a lot more pushing the edge of the let's just say it does push the boundaries. I'll just say that it is what it is. But just like I said, none of my statements are endorsed by the United States Army, Department of Defense, and or military branch, element, or government entity. All right, y'all. You guys be safe out there.
Peace.